All right, that's it. There we go. We're just gonna keep rolling with it. All right, so we just let that rock. Tell them to head over to the main channel.
They're saying that got canceled
Yeah,
as
here
soon
we
as I
go.
said sketchy Miami.
Oh, that's funny. Yo, that is so weird. Like, I don't know what happened. Maybe we got Pelzered. Remember the Pelzer stream? Yeah, we got absolutely
Yeah, that's what I
Pelzered.
was gonna say.
We got
The
Pelzered.
KP button.
We got hit
I
with
just call it the KP button.
the KP button. Wow, that's funny. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. No warnings, no whatever. But hey, we're back, and that's all that matters. Okay, so I don't want to. Everyone will eventually make themselves over here. While they're doing that, I guess in a time or a situation like now where you may not have as much time as possible to go out and do photography and things like that, what do you do to keep your skills up when you can't actually go out and shoot?
That's a really good question because the majority of my photography and the majority of my re-education when it comes to photography when I got back into it was me trying to take better videos and better photography of the business that I was doing now or that I am doing now, which is iPhone repair. So I provide a mobile iPhone repair service in South Florida, and I'm in my vehicle the majority of the day. So throughout my day, I am constantly taking photographs for myself with my camera in hand and just snapping away at the things and trying to just once again, reintegrate myself with the photography and those skills that I learned when I was in school, composition and, correct exposure. Like you said, the exposure triangle and just getting myself familiar with that and with my new equipment because it was a lot different than what I left in school.
That's true. So it's funny how sort of that works, right? Like when I don't know how to describe it. It's like you can find ways to find the time to work on your stuff in the middle. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people don't get. I think a lot of people, and again, I understand. Like everyone studies different, right? But a lot of people think the only way to study or hone something is you have to be like in a class environment or like sitting at this particular studio doing something. I tell people all the time when I get my new equipment, right? So your brand new camera, I'm sitting down and watching TV, and I'm literally just moving the buttons I can with my fingers. Now, this camera is way too small to do that, but like on a full size, I can just sit there and I'm practicing that thumb movement from here to here. Like, having broken both thumbs before, like, it's a little bit of a trick. So I'm literally holding the grip, moving it over, doing things. Or when I put the battery grip on the bottom, like realizing that my AEL focus button is down here now instead of up here. So like getting used to where your hands move and stuff like that. So there's ways to get your practice on without actually, having the ability to sit down and chill inside your studio. So there you go.
Yeah, like a lot of people will sit here and just watch a television show and their favorite, like anime, whatever it could be. And in that time, you could just have your camera in your hand and do exactly what you're saying and learn your camera muscle memory. So that when you're actually needing to use it, you already know where the buttons are. You already know without having to look. Because that's so key when it comes to, actually getting the most out of your equipment.
There you go. Mr. Elo said, just dropping in real quick to say hi. Good to see everybody. Make sure everybody made it back. Oh, that's super funny. He said what had happened was like, yeah, I don't know what happened. I have no idea. It just went dark. Luis started talking spicy about Miami, and then it went away.
And they cut off my signal. They were like, "Psst."
Yeah, they're like, no, we are listening to you, Mr. Luis. I know. See, thank you, Leo. Leo said the transition to black was so smooth, though. Nice cross dissolve.
It's
Okay,
super cool to have
Jerry
Leo
has a
here,
good
man.
question. How many photos using a phone versus a camera proper? That's a good question, Jerry. I told you, Jerry don't say much, but when he says something, it's worth it. He's like EF. Jerry's new name is EF Hutton.
That's a great question. Well, as of 2020, when I checked my Lightroom file, I took over 50,000 photographs in 2020. So that's not including my phone or any other. That's just the photos that
That's
I
real
took
sensor
with the
clicks.
camera proper. Yes.
Nice. Nice. Okay, I want to bring up something in a minute, but I just wanted to point this out. Ballard Vibes has a very good point, and let me embiggen that just a taste because I can't see. You got to go live and get the experiences, right? Like you got to love the live experience is what he said, but in the same token, you have to go live to get the experience. What happens? I tell people all the time how you recover from something like what just happened has a lot to do with your practice, your poise, or whatever. Right? You will see situations. If I did lots of concerts, and I was lucky to have the job that allowed me to do lots of concerts. And you see a professional, they're out there singing, something don't sound right, they make a hand signal to the side, then they walk over to the stage and they go. And they just keep on going. Like in the middle of the song, you don't miss a beat. They don't stop and be like, "Oh my God, sound man, I'm gonna choke you." Da-da. Like you see them pull a switch and they just keep going. And some people don't even notice it because you're so busy, rocking out. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen complete, guitar breakdown in the middle of a stage, and they turn around and just grab the next one and get right back to it. So I've seen that happen to Trent, and when I was watching, REM, Nine Inch Nails, things like that, I've seen plenty of equipment explosions, and they just go right back and keep going. Wow. So, yeah, that's. I think everybody should practice what happens when you have a meltdown. But hey,
Yeah, because I could attest to that. I've had live streams where my computer decided to reboot and do an update in the middle of my live stream. And I have like the
Yes.
same cross dissolve effect. So it's stuff that happens. So, if you're expecting perfection out of a live, you know, um, a live production, not even the professionals, broadcasters get it 100% right all the time. So why would you expect someone that's just doing it all by yourself to get it 100% right all the time? And the funny thing is that the situation that we just dealt with wasn't even our fault. Like it was like completely, digital. But knowing that, like you said, the musician doesn't get flustered, doesn't is just like, hey, you know what? We have no audio, or just taps the ear like I can't hear my monitor, anything like that. It's just go with the flow, roll with the punches, and it's live. Have
Get
fun with
back
it.
at it. Tom said that anime and cameras is a good day. What's up, Vinny? Good to see you here. What's up, Mr. Harlan Strickland? Good to see you here, brother. I appreciate you.
Wow, DJ Strix in the house.
Right? Like everybody came to see
Everybody
you,
came
man.
out today, man. This is awesome. Thank you so much. This is just a testament to how incredible this community is, and I stay in awe every day with the LGL, and the community on YouTube is amazing.
Gretchen has a very very good comment about the best camera you have is the one you have in your hand. See, I learned it as the one you have in your pocket, but that came from Rick Sammons. But it's the same thing. I mean, like it literally is the same thing. I had a really, really good opportunity back in the day when I was a Canon shooter to go take the Canon of Light team around Maui and shoot with them for like an entire week. It was incredible, bro.
Nice.
Oh my good, that was like seriously the dopeness. Hey Mel, good to see you here. You made it after the explosion. Hey Zane, good to see you here, Zane. All right. Leo says, do you have any tips for improving the video creation workflow, especially in small spaces in studio rooms? That's a great question, Leo, because both of us are in really tiny spaces. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. What's your take on it?
my take is I kind of have IKEA-tized my workflow. I've made everything multifunctional. So when I came into it, I've had everything kind of pre-planned out. So I was fortunate enough to just look at this small space and then say, with nothing in it and have just like an open canvas aside. If I can do whatever I want, what would I do? And I tried to maximize my space, and that's what I've been able to do. One of the biggest things for me was getting the new Mac Mini because that thing has been a space saver and a half. So once I got that, that gave me a lot more room on my own desk. So that was probably one of the newest things that I got that really made the biggest difference because I had two Mac Minis working like in sequence, and the way that I had it set up might have looked nice, but also wasn't like so congruent to being perfectly a good workflow. What I'm dealing with right now is a lot better, but each space is different, and when it comes to doing that, I would say I think I'm a little more extra than Doc because even though he's got a great setup there, he usually just uses one angle. I try to be a little extra, and then I bring in something separate like this so that I have a secondary angle. And you see, even here, I've already put some planning into thought of what this angle is going to see. So it's still going to show my microphone, it's still going to show everything in shot. But as you can see, I even have my little Game Boy over there just propped up on display. And these are little things that you can do to just try to maximize a small space and get the most out of it. Is just think ahead and try to be creative because we're on a creative platform, and I think that's one of the biggest ways where you can show your creativity.
Yes, that is 100% true. Um, you know, it's funny because to me, Leo, one of the things that's important is sometimes limitations actually allow you to be more creative. So you got to work with that. Like, I find some of the best things you've ever been able to pull off is when you've been held down to a, say, a lesser set of tools, if you will, right? That's why I loved iPhone photography so much. I came from, shooting big cameras and stuff like that, and you get your iPhone and you come up with all these crazy tricks. I remember we all used to carry a little pin LED flashlight. It was about yo big, and you would just hold it up above the food when you take pictures in order to get, like weird shots. Or, you go to a place, right, where they have that old school metal napkin guy when to pull the napkins from
Yeah.
each side. You know what I'm talking about? We would set
Mm-hmm.
that metal thing up and turn it so that the shiny silver part is facing, and then take the light from one iPhone and splash it at that thing, use that as a reflector, and then have someone take a picture of the food. Because, back in the beginning
Nice.
days of social, it was all about food pics on Foursquare. So
Yeah.
that was life, that's what we did. I hung with the whole foodie massive here in Hawaii, so it's really
That's another good thing because even though I really don't attribute a lot to it, I do have to say that phone photography was something that probably kept my skills honed throughout those years where I was technically away from photography because I still had like especially when the iPhone came out from the iPhone 4, I have a ton of pictures and I was still working with the limitation of such a small camera, but working on my composition and making sure that what was in frame was what I wanted to be shown. And I think that, even though I don't talk about that, that's something that did keep me in the photography loop, like I guess stringing me along throughout the years.
I good to see my brother Dancy Bearded in the building. Oh my God, fam! Every time you show up, I feel like a
I
fangirl.
know, so
I
cool.
I kind of just want to go ah! It's my fangirl noise. You didn't get a chance to hear that yet, but I'm just checking it real quick, dude. This is the first year in a minute that we Notre Dame don't get to play you Michigan twerps. So that was just a pot shot at Dancy's area. Anyway, I love this, Tom. Yes, creativity does thrive in limitations, and Aubrey does say the same. Okay, I'm starting questions real quick. And Sam said, so true. Hey, Sam, good to see you here. Whoa, where you going, JFK Production? Where you going? Good to see you here. I love it. Tis says, limitations always open the door for your creativity. I'm working from a corner space in a small bedroom. My brain almost wanted to read that as a small ballroom. And I'm like, Tish is like, spinning around in the room.
A ballroom should have plenty of space, but yeah, small bedroom.
Yeah, I don't know why my head said small small ballroom. And Paul said the beards are in the house. And no, Dan, I don't want to hear any scores from freaking Michigan, dang it. Wake up to Echoes, Notre Dame. I have a play like a champion sign back there that I pass every day that I get in here. I actually made it for my space because, yeah, I'm that weird. Okay, let me check the favorites area. So I can uncheck Leo. We done with his question. And we're done with Sammy's question. Get out of
By
here.
the way, Leo, I think I saw his Instagram. He's got a really nice space. I think he just redid it.
Oh, cool. All right. Let's see. Leo, well, you can't post it. If somebody finds Leo's Instagram that has a wrench, post it. Anyway, I like this, Tom. Tom said, I heard someone say the best camera is the one you know. Come on, girl. That is actually smart because it's so easy to want to get like more gear. I'm that dude, right? I am gas specialist, right? But I guess one thing is because I stick in the Sony family, like it's not going to take me a lot to learn the new changes or whatever. But to start out with something and not just know, like when I was shooting on a Hasselblad, like actual, not digital, yo, I was lost for the longest time. I wasted so much film. I'm not even talking a little bit, a lot of it. And back then we had to go and print, everything just to see what was going on. Luckily, I had a homie that owned a Photoshop, and then so not the program, the actual thing. And so what he would do is make me the negatives, and then I would use a little Nikon negative scanner, and then I would just use the computer to fake to see kind of what the image might look like to pick what I was going to actually print. Because, we just waste so much. Like, it's not even funny. It's kind of crazy. Mr. Riley says...
I do know that.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I said I do know that how much money could be wasted on film. I think about that all the time whenever I think about taking 50,000 photographs in 2020. Because if that would have been filmed from like when I left photography in school, that wouldn't have been possible. So that's just, one of those other things about the digital age that people put, artificial limitations to themselves. The fact that you have a camera that has unlimited pictures is like, go out and take as many pictures and learn. And, going back to like what Tom said, the best camera is the one that you know. That goes back to how we started this conversation and the fact of just grabbing the camera while you're watching a movie or your favorite TV show and learn that camera, learn the ins and outs and get that muscle memory because the camera that you know is the best one that you're going to have in your hand.
Oh, there you go. Hey, so dang it, Dad, I had to go and peek because you started it 33-7. Good Lord. Oh goodness. I don't want them to be good. It's against my golden blood. Good Lord.
You peeked.
Oh, man. I'm telling you the only reason why I hate Tom Brady is Michigan.
I had my own disdain for Tom Brady as a professional, as a Dolphins fan.
Yeah, there you go.
It was just
See?
almost impossible
trust
to
me,
get
after he
season.
went to the Patriots and that fumble thing, I was done. But no, prior to that, it was like even just at Michigan. But he mostly rode the bench, and most people don't remember this. But Greasy basically started the whole time up there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Tom was kind of
it's
crazy.
Left bench.
But see, it goes to show you, like, anybody can break out of nowhere and then just be up. I mean, he has a fantastic story. As a Raiders fan and a Notre Dame fan, I will forever hate Tom Brady on purpose. But his story is super dope. Like, it's super incredible. And I do always bring up for the people that say, well, how do you get good and whatever? And I'm always going to say, like, Tom Brady has completed almost 26,000 passes over 21 years. And you know what he did yesterday? Not today, because he needed a day off, because tomorrow he went to practice.
Yep.
And people always ask that question, like, well, how do you get good? You got to practice, or you got to actually do it. All right, Mr. Riley had a dope question. He said, what is the best camera you've ever used?
Ooh, that's a really good question. That would have to take me back to my school and my studio days. I was lucky enough to use a full production, studio camera, the same thing that you would see like on the news. Now, the technology could have been outdated to what we have now, but that was probably the nicest or the best camera that I could have gotten my hands on. You're talking about what you see at the baseball game in the bleachers, the full setup. So it was amazing to see all the technology and to be able to just like control it with all of the hydraulics and moving all of this weight around, and it felt like a feather. That was just incredible to me, especially at such a young age. But as of right now, pretty much anything made within the last 5 years is a really, really good camera. That's why. Like,
That's true. It's funny, right? We do have our cameras and we do have our preferences, but you got to think of it like this: when you're driving, engine starts, four wheels, seat belts, radio. I could even care less about the temperature control. I could either wear a jacket or roll down the windows. But if you got those basic things, you're moving, right? Beats the heck out of the bus. It beats the heck out of Greyhound and things of that nature. So sometimes you got to just be happy with what you have and just know that there is a path forward. And once you have your path forward, where you can go. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's relevant and important. Okay, so let's answer this question for Gretchen. Please expand upon how you use your Mac Mini. Do you keep your photos on it? No. Backup? Yes. I have over 80,000 photos, and I have deleted 30,000 during lockdown. Oh, you're brave. I have deleted nothing. Go ahead.
No, I have external storage. That's what I do. So whenever I do and deal with my photos, I actually just have a completely separate drive that's dedicated to my Lightroom. It's a 4 terabyte drive, and because I only keep it for photography, it's not tainted with anything else. So I still have some space in there for my photos. So I really haven't culled anything. What I really cull is my Lightroom actual photos, the ones that I'm actually going to edit and keep there, whether it's for myself or for a client. So that's where I literally try to keep all of like the storage down to a minimum. My MacBook Pro is what I'm actually still using for my photography, and that's why I said like my Mac Mini was what I changed for my setup, but that has to do with what I'm doing here, like the live streaming and video editing. My video editing workflow here has changed dramatically because of that machine. Everything as far as photography, I still have it on my MacBook Pro, which is just down there, and an external 4 terabyte hard drive.
I'm just laughing at JFK's comment. You can know Nikon and Panasonic, but you ain't gonna fix their crappy focusing. Oh my goodness.
Well, if you know them both, you know that they have crappy focusing.
Oh my God. Bruna, Mr. Singh, you asked a awesome question, an absolutely awesome question. How do you get rid of the habit of shooting on auto? I don't even pretend like that exists on my camera. I just turn it off. But it is so easy when you go to the family thing, right? And they're like, oh, V, can you take the picture? Can you take the picture? And you just go, okay, I don't want to miss this shot for the family. Switch to auto, click, 2 shots, out of there. Nope. I was like, hey, listen, gang, give me a second. And I twirl, get it into the manuals like, gang, you guys shouldn't have asked Uncle to take it because Uncle's going to take 17, 18, 19, 20 shots until we get it right. And then so you got some kids be like this, kids be like, all the weird faces. I will take like 20 shots for that family Christmas photo because, yeah, I'm not doing it in the auto. So you really just have to take yourself out of it. My advice, though, and Luis, yours might be different, learn one area of the exposure triangle at a time. Start with aperture.
Yeah.
Just me. I purposely start with aperture, right? And then you go mess with shutter speed, and then you go mess with ISO, right? Do your exposure triangle. If you learn nothing else about photography, learn the exposure triangle. And if you want, Luis, you can explain it while I do something.
Well, I'm not going to explain the exposure triangle because then that will be the entire stream. But
yeah,
I do
actually,
agree with what he just said.
It could be the whole stream.
It could be, yeah, because we start breaking things down and it's like, and then both you and I, we can get very technical. So, but my advice to get out of auto is first switch out of auto, right? That's the first thing. You have the knobs on the top of the camera that is an automatic, but you also see the other dials. It's the same thing. Just put one in and see what it does for you. See what is the difference between that and then just study your own camera. I would suggest starting at Aperture Priority, that way you actually understand more or less the basic step of exposure, like how much light you're allowing to hit the sensor. One thing that I love about my cameras right now in this digital age is the fact that, these Sony cameras, even though you can hand them off to somebody and say, hey, take the photo for me, I have my Aperture Priority, which is still to me kind of like an auto mode. Even though it gives me the ability to control the exposure through the aperture, I have it set up to where I know that it won't exceed a certain amount of ISO because I have that automatically set to a range. I also know that I don't want it to exceed a certain shutter speed because I have that set down to a range. And all of that is already preset in my camera so that even though I shoot in manual, if I were to hand it off to someone, I would probably put it in a mode like that, like aperture, get the aperture that I want, preset it, and then it's just still pretty much auto for them.
I like that. Greg said, first of all, I'm laughing at Greg. Greg said I was over there watching part one. Sorry, Greg. I had a random hiccup. We
funny.
don't know what happened. We just restarted. So sorry about that, G. And he says his first camera was a Yashica. Yeah, I can say it correctly. 230 AF. And yes, dude, those cameras are dope. Man, I can't wait to take you to Japan and take you to the vintage camera shop, dude. You will probably sit on the floor and cry like a little girl for a minute because you will see some of the dopest, like old school Leicas in there, crystal clean.
That's like my Disney World, right?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I'm like, Rob and Kevin can stay their butt over there eating giant turkey legs. I'll go to the vintage camera shop in Japan. And I mean, the little spy joint they had that was like the little silver, whatever, is about yo big. It's like, they got all of that. And you'll just be in heaven. Oh my goodness. It's so
One thing that I
dope.
do now, believe it or not, is that I actually have a fascination for vintage lenses and all of these old cameras. All of these old cameras, I'm able to take the lenses off of them, like the M42s, and adapt them to these mirrorless cameras. And once I found that out, I was like, oh, forget it. I'm absolutely hooked. I actually picked up a older Fuji X-T1 just to get some film simulation so that I could adapt them with those old vintage lenses. And I absolutely have so much fun using that combination. So, with the technology that we have available now, like it's pretty much limitless with what we can do with cameras. Is just how creative can you be with it.
I'm laughing at Tish and Dan because Dan said that is well. Trish said that her M50 and her iPhone were like the first cameras, right? And then Dan said him too. It was a fantastic, camera at least for its frugal comfort zone. And then Trish says, "I love autofocus, but I gotta learn. Yeah. Once you get out of autofocus, you just find out it's better. But then at least Trish doesn't have to feel alone because Dan, it has a M52. And you know what? When you're learning, like." You got to get in there, but once you start, figuring out where you're at, then you'll go back and you'll start trying. Dad, I'm gonna put you on a challenge, fam, because you live in a beautiful place. Definitely take one of them suckers off the tripod and then go outside and just start shooting. I mean, you and the family, you can do some dope pictures. You have an awesome location to shoot in, and photography, man, it's one of these things that is something about. It's funny. I feel like I'm in one of those slow motion cinematic montages when I'm shooting, even though it's real time. Like, of course, I'm in the beach right here. I'm walking outside. Cats are surfing on the waves. I'm like, it's like all slow motion. It's real time, but in my head, it's like slow motion. It's so comforting, so relaxing. And I'll just put on, some dope tracks. And I'll put on tracks that match what I'm looking at. This is super weird, I know, but this is me.
That's cool.
If I go to the skate park, right, I'm going to thrash like Papa Roach or something, and I'm just in my head, kids are skating, and I'm like, that's my life to pieces. This is my last resort. Right? I'm like, oh,
just rocking out.
Yo, I got the thing on like, 11 frames a second. I'm just out here. Taking
action shots,
just crazy shots, doing my thing, right? If I'm at the beach, I might be listening to Wynton Marsalis or something, but I try to get myself in the frame, no pun intended, and then just sit there and shoot until I come out what I come out, And I love like walking through the woods, looking at small things. I like to look at the really small things and get pictures of that kind of stuff. I love landscape photography. It's seriously one of my favorites.
That's what I love about photography in general, because there's a lot of things where you can learn and you kind of feel like you've mastered it, or maybe to the best of your skill level, because it's kind of like finite and it's limiting. With photography, and photography itself, there's so much to learn. Like, I'm still learning, and that's part of my fascination with it, or my rekindling of my passion, because you can learn everything about landscaping photography, which I think is pretty much impossible. But let's say that you feel that you've mastered that, then half of the skills you could use as far as how to use your camera, but it's going to be a completely different skill set if you now want to shoot portraits. Now, if you want to do events, or maybe go into macro photography, like you said, the little things, and start getting bumblebees on flowers and things like that, or going even hyper macro where you're just looking at almost like microscopic type things. So there's so many fields of photography that I feel that you really can't plateau, and there's always a space for you to continue learning. And that's one of my favorite things about photography.
Freaking Rob is killing me over here. Oh my goodness. And I even typed it wrong. Oh God, see, dang, I'm not even gonna bother with it. Okay, so I love coffee talking text. Hey, Papa Roach, I'm a 50-year-old guy on the highway driving and blasting it. Oh heck yeah, bro. Heck yeah, me too.
That's cool.
Says, I love using mirrorless cameras, but the darkroom in high school was fun. And I'm serious, right? And so it's funny that comes up because K-Walk, Kathy said the same thing. She said, are you any longing for the days of film and developing rooms? And yeah, for me, I loved it. It was great.
Yeah,
bro.
it was an experience, because it was you actually transforming your photography into something physical. It wasn't like, it was almost like it was all ethereal until the moment where you physically had the print in your hand, and that made
you know what it was for me,
difference.
Luis? It was for me when you take out the white paper, right? And you slide it into the photo fixer and you're shaking it around and it just goes.
And you're seeing it.
But that stuff stink though. That stuff stinks. It smells like feet. And
That's
cheese,
a whole
bruh.
different like.
Oh my god!
We
it was
said
how
we
the-
missed the experience, not the smells. Okay.
Oh
So,
my god!
like,
Something about man. The fixer was stink. The other thing that was a trip, Kathy. I guess my other favorite part is we had the bag that looked like Zsa Zsa Gabor hand muffs,
Hello?
right? Yeah, I can hear you.
Are you
What?
there?
Are you talking to me? Uh-oh. I'm here. Can you guys hear? Let me check the stream. Luis is crazy. I'm checking the stream and make the volume loud. 1 2 1 2. Can I hear myself? Yes, I can hear myself. So never mind. It is Luis just broke something.
Oh no.
I can hear you. We can hear you fine. So
Let's
but you can't hear me. So that's a problem. Uh-huh. It's when the ghost of Miami strikes again. Anyway, we used to have this thing. You have to put your hand in.
Okay, I just had to pull up. I had to pull up YouTube to actually see that I'm still up and running.
Yeah, you're running. Why? What happened? You're fine. Can you hear me? You're just making hand
Okay,
signals.
go.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Anyway,
There's like a huge delay now.
it's okay. Don't
Okay,
sweat it.
go ahead.
There was a like the little
Yes, I
thing
can
you
hear
stick your
you
hand
now,
in.
but I can't see anything, so we're just gonna go with it.
Anyway, so there was a thing you put your hand in to transfer the film to the canister so that you can develop it in the canister. And so taking the little caps off and getting in there and winding it in a little canister in the dark was the strangest situation, but you learned how to do things in the blind. So it was kind of cool.
Man, no.
You want to, here, I'll text you. See, gang, today it'll be one of those days where it all goes cray-cray. Cray-cray. I'm going to tell Luis to call back. Reboot and call back. You should actually have that as a saved shortcut text so that if anything goes wrong, you can do that. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to kick him out. You're out of here. Go over to here. Boom, boom. Go to this screen. Ta-da! And then Mr. Luis is fired. Fired. Okay. Anyway. Oh, there we go. He's back. Let's see what happens. Dun, da, da, da. Uh-oh. Now we got us a different problem. Tell him to reboot. Let's see what happens. Oh, that is crazy. That is crazy. Sorry, gang. I just wanted to do this real quick. I don't know why this is being crazy, but it's okay. Let me drag this in here. Come here. Come on, computer. Catch up to my hands. There we go. All right. Cool. Rob said the ZV E10 is available on the Bestie Buy website. Gangster. You know, it's funny, Leo, we're talking about that on a show that I was on yesterday, just about how when your chat is good, it can like make or break a live stream. So yes, thank you guys for always being like that. Donna said, my brother did wedding photography to make money during his college days. He let me work in the dark room with him, and it was magic. Man, I do miss the dark room. The room next to my old classroom was a brand new dark room, and students loved it. Oh, really? You guys built a dark room in like digital land time? That's crazy. That is super awesome. Next time I feel my car vibrated next to me, I'll look and see. Bam. Yes. The one on the left and the one on the right. Sorry. Right, Greg? That bag was guaranteed the hardest thing to learn. Oh, my goodness. We used to mess up so much film. back in the day. Tom said Luis is having an out of the body experience. Oh, I don't know why the stream. All of the days for the stream to go crazy, it went crazy. So what I'm having Luis do is like do a full on reboot, just to see what happens. Oh man, this is crazy. This is crazy. Oh, it did the same thing again. All right, gang. This is going to be the beast of my existence. Hold on. Give me a second. Let me try something here. Sorry, gang. I'm going to put you guys on hold music for a second. Okay, gang. So here's what's happening. For some reason, right now, the system won't let Luis dial back in. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just shut this one again. I'm going to start a whole brand new one. It's going to be part 3. And before I do that, I'm going to re-close and restart Ecamm just in case, just to make life safer. So in theory, in less than 60 seconds, we should be back. I don't know what the heck is going on, but it's freaking Brian. Oh, that is awesome. I don't know what's going on, but we're going to solve it out here. So check the channel and just see. Paul said this, or Rob said this earlier. This is the reason why you got to be subscribed, because I swear to you, I'll be back in like 60 seconds. So fade to black. Peace out.